Hey everybody, it's Keith with BobsCNC. Welcome to Shop Talk. I'm here as always with my short friend Robert.
And I'm here with my tall friend Keith.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're standing today, so
yeah, we are
really
standing.
shows up that he's kind of a Neanderthal.
That hurt.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no you're not.
Okay.
The reason we're standing though is that if we were sitting, he wouldn't be able to see,
That's
Bob.
Not nice at all.
Well, it's a fact because we want to talk about hard and soft limits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soft limits, hard limits.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so really, honestly, on the machine, let's get to the machine then, okay?
Okay, please.
All right, because you're,
I got things to do.
I'm tired of you making fun of me. Anyway, okay, so on our machines, we always, we get a question a lot of time, what's the difference between soft limits and hard limits, and why do you use soft limits? So we thought we'd just kind of walk through and try to explain that. So in the old days, all machines had hard limits. As a matter of fact, in the industry, they still do. So what is a hard limit? It is actually a physical a switch on the machine, and it would be one on each axis, or at least a switch that could be triggered, whether it was hitting the back side or all the way onto the front side, right? So those are hard limits.
Question.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a limit switch, like we have, and a hard limit switch?
Actually, the switch itself can be a physical on-off switch, or it can be like a Hall effect switch. The switch is not really the important part, it's really how the switch is used. So the switch can be used as a soft limit switch or a hard limit switch.
The only deal though is that it's at the end of the travel.
Yeah, so a hard limit switch is actually the computer is sitting there waiting for all the time for a switch to be triggered. So if your machine is running and it hits the back wall and therefore it can't go where it needs to go, it's going to hit that hard limit. It's going to stop the machine and say, hey, you've hit a hard limit, you're done. We can't go any further because I don't know what you want me to do anymore.
Well, in the evolution of CNCs, what a hard limit switch, it was a safety device.
Yeah, it still is.
Yeah, because what happened is somebody did not set up their workpiece right in the cutting area.
Right.
And so the machine didn't want to go next door, it needed to stop.
Yeah, and in big industry machines, if you go without that, you could actually do damage to the machine because there's a lot more power and stuff.
Correct.
So for hobby machines, we use soft limits, and the reason I like soft limits is basically after your machine starts running, your limits are in the firmware, so they're software values. So this would be 0, and if you have the evolution,
why they're soft.
Yeah. Software limits,
Yeah, I'm trying to keep this really simple for guys like me.
Well, that's pretty simple.
Yeah, okay.
So if you went to the front and you were 24 inches, you would have a soft limit. So it would stop actually here before you hit the wall.
Right.
Because there's a little over 24 inches. The same way here, if you had an Evolution 4, if you went over here, it would know that I can't go any further than that. I can't go any further than this. Soft limit. So how does that work? When you actually home the machine, and this is when we use our home switches, right? Same type of switches, but now they're designated as home switches. We actually run this thing up and down until we hit the Z home switches is here, right?
Right.
And then it actually does it twice, right? It does it really fast the first time and slower the second time to get more of a precise feel of where it's at.
Yeah.
And then it's going to do both X and Y at the same time. So this is your Y home switch.
Right.
And then you have an X1 and an X2 for self-squaring gantry, but we won't talk about that this time. And then it's going to bounce off. As soon as it homes successfully and bounces it off, it sets this position in the machine as 0, and then it knows that it can only go 24 inches from there, 24 inches of there. It's in the firmware.
Right, that's what I was going to mention. It's programmed into the EEPROM.
Yeah, and if you want to see those values, it's really easy. You can type $$ into the command text box of the console window in UGS, and it will display all your firmware values. And the firmware values for the travel limits, which is how it sets its soft limits, are $130, 131, and 132. So let's say that you're getting the hard limit error, alarm 1. Okay. This means really and truly you've changed your firmware setting. There's an easy way to just go all the way back to the start. It's typing in that same location in the command text box in the console window of the UGS application, you can type in $RST equals $, and all the firmware will be set
and
back
if
to
you
start.
talk to Bob, it's not RST. It's Romeo Sierra Tango.
Yeah. And Kristen says it differently. She uses names Randy, Robert, Sam, Tom. Yeah. The bottom line is it's $RST equals $.
Right.
We'll reset your firmware. However, if you're goofing around and wanting to change other parameters, but you don't want hard limits, I believe it's $21 needs to be 0 to turn those off. And just so you know about the firmware values, all of them are there for you to display, and you can change them if you want to. And then if your machine doesn't work, you can do that $RST.
Right.
But it's a good idea to see what those are there, or what's out there. Or if you're me, you're curious, you got to play with them, change them.
Yes, you do.
You've probably never done that, have you?
I try not to.
Yeah, okay.
I wreck things just without trying, so I don't need to experiment.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't either, but I like wrecking things, so.
Obviously.
Anyway, so I don't know if that explains it or not, but we gave it a go, right?
Yeah, no, it gives you the difference between hard limits and soft limits. And for most guys, when you're just starting in CNC, a lot of the trouble people have is just understanding the nomenclature, learning all the vocabulary.
Yeah, we get that a lot.
Yeah. So if that was helpful, that's what we're here for. If you got any questions about CNCs, you can get a hold of us at the help desk at BobsCNC.com. And so till next time,
see you guys.
He'll still be short. Bye.
Neanderthal.